嗯，门打开。哦，这里还有哦，喂，320。
Cylinder Records.
These plants, classified as shrubs or grasses, have adapted to their arid environment due to resistance of underground roots.
This recording seems very long. It is unnecessary to listen to all of it. Miss White was in the laboratory, as she told us.
当时在实验室。案发当时在实验室。
Let us summarize. Montague Dunn was poisoned inside the Colonial Collection Room. He forced open the door, which means that someone locked him inside there at 10:20. Martin Hamish was last seen. Albert or Miss White was last seen. Perfect, Watson. Now, let us ascertain who assisted Martin Hamish in killing Montague Dunn.
调查，应该已经要下结论了吧？应该没有东西了。觉得怀特小姐几率比较高诶。而且我们去干人家的东西，那个神秘之旅，我好像也还没问完。再问问看。没有。他们只要下结论。我认为怀特是从犯。那么多个，都，那按照惯例，我们一个一个看吧。我们先从最不可能的。所以这不能点哦。哇，那这样就不是了。他就不给点了，他就只能从哈米斯开始点。 好吧，就直接定罪吧。我认为怀特是从犯。Yep.
But Holmes, how can you be certain that we'll find Miss White here?
It is obvious, Watson. Just use your brain.
I am using it. I do use it.
Now that the rope has tightened around Martin Hamish, Miss White must act to erase all traces of her implication. After the suicide of her accomplice, there is one final trace remaining. The deadly plants of the Divine Syndicate. She will be there.
Very good. Shall we go?
Just one moment. Now listen to me, Watson. I shall see her alone. You will conceal yourself behind her, quietly.
Whatever are you planning?
Nothing spectacular. The impulses of women have always been a mystery to me. But she is a bold one, and so we must be cautious.
All right. You can count on me, Holmes.
靠你 cover 我了。
Mr. Holmes, good day to you.
You do not seem surprised, Miss White.
Well, I was expecting you.
哎呦，
Not for too long, I believe. So please tell me, as it is still unclear, who planned the murder? Was it you?
You are wrong, Mr. Holmes.
It was Martin Hamish, then. You managed to convince him to take on a more prominent role.
You could not be further from the truth.
You think that you can fool me?
You don't care what I think.
It is difficult to care about someone who is capable of pushing a man to his suicide. It is over, Miss White. The police will be here any minute.
Over, perhaps. One moment you were here, and the next, you were on the other side.
The other side? No! Stop! I beg you not to do this, Miss White.
Don't come any closer.
等等，
Please remain calm. We can help you.
Not one step further. Don't try to stop me.
Stop this foolishness. You cannot truly want to.
华生还不出手啊，华生。
It's too late.
哇！啊靠腰，刚刚那个。
This is tragic, Holmes.
Are you able to do anything?
I'm afraid not. The poison has been fulgurating. Her heart stopped instantly, poor child.
先让我们看看我们选的对不对？对啊，果然是怀特。果然就是怀特，没钱了，该找下一个凯子了。我们先把他救回来吧，刚刚都没救成。
But Holmes, how can you be certain that we'll find Miss White here?
It is obvious, Watson. Just use your brain.
I am using it. I do use it.
Now that the rope has tightened around Martin Hamish, Miss White must act to erase all traces of her implication. After the...
Very good.
No.
Mr.
You... It... The... I beg you not to do this, Miss White.
Don't come any closer.
Please remain calm. We can help you.
Not one step further. Don't try to stop me.
Stop this foolishness. You cannot truly want to die.
No, it's too late.
It's too late. 嗨，拍。
Well done, Watson. She was not faking.
Miss White, you have no right to take your own life.
Dr. Watson? Did you just save me? Or worse?
怀特小姐是一个非常危险的女人。她与哈米什共同策划了这一起杀人计划，因为她发觉自己已经无法再从邓恩那里得到任何帮助了，并且将重点移向了阿尔伯特身上。在计划暴露之后，她逼迫哈米什自杀服罪，她应该受到法律制裁。 它有新的章节哦，还有一个，我们先看一下其他人的那个状况。如果是阿尔伯特呢？
What happened, Inspector?
It's all over now, lad. There is no use denying it. We know that you murdered your father. Patricide by plant poisoning. Very alliterative.
What? You're mad. I didn't do it. I don't know anything about botany.
No. 噔噔，太短了吧？但是剧情也太短。独自做了一切。哦，我们可以选2种。一个交给警察，一个是校警察。
Inspector, the case can be closed. Martin Hamish operated alone. He was meticulous in his planning, down to the smallest detail, and yet we arrived at the truth.
Well, I must thank you once again, Mr. Holmes. Without you, it would not have been possible.
If pushing a man to his suicide seems fair to you, Lestrade, then we are even.
Mr. Holmes, you did what was needed
to not appear in this inquiry. I thank you for your discretion, Lestrade.
噔噔噔噔，那如果笑他呢？这也都是挺短，就只有那个什么怀特小姐的那个剧情 有多那个动作。可是那个什么，那个庄园种大麻那个庄园的那个剧情就没办法看了，因为已经逮捕那个哈米什，然后他也自杀了，那就没有办法看那个这个庄园的那个结局。庄园路线无法看呐、哇，这样也都不行欸，因为一旦触发这个之后，就都不能看之前的了，前面那3个小的这个都不行，好吧，那就直接下一章了。我们赶快过一过，换下一章。
But Holmes, how can you be certain that we'll find Miss White here?
Now,
下一章节应该蛮短的吧？我只看到3个人物格。
Mr. Holmes, good day.
you do not.
Good day。可以跳过吗？可以。
Well done, Watson.
严苛的法官。Judgment。半月街事件，新的呢。
Where are you going, Holmes? Have you been invited somewhere?
We have been invited, Watson,
是我们2个啦。
Where to?
to the Baker Street Irregulars' annual dinner. They sent us an invitation. It is on the table.
A dinner? How could those street urchins afford anything like that? I can't understand your interest in them, Holmes. They're dirty. They wouldn't hesitate to steal your wallet. They...
Watson, you should be excited. It is a secret dinner. Its location changes every year. Read the menu. Sounds mouth-watering.
All right. We, the secret police of Baker Street, invite you, Sherlock Holmes, and
这群小
Dr.
鬼也很
Watson
会呢。
to our annual dinner. Menu, entree, frozen rat head salad. Is this a joke?
Not at all. Pray continue.
Main course, sow's udder in Danny Nutcracker's way. Oh, sounds disgusting, Holmes. Hedgehog goulash.
刺猬
Stewed
浓汤、
turnips in homemade
海鲜
juice.
果汁。
And it goes on.
Ah, I can hear them on the stairs now.
Oh, we can't go there. We can't eat that.
Watson, you'll hurt the feelings of those poor children. We have to go.
Oh, Mr. Holmes.
It is fine, Mrs. Hudson.
Mr. Holmes.
Wiggins, Dr. Watson is getting ready. He will be delighted to join us. You don't look well, my young man. Is there something wrong? Don't tell me the dinner is cancelled.
Mr. Holmes is my brother Leighton. He's in a prison cell. They say he's killed 2 men. You have to help us, Mr. Holmes, because I know he didn't do it.
Where is he now?
From what I've heard, they took him to the yard and they gave him a good
哦，
beating
还被
already.
屈
You know
打
what they're
成招
like.。They'll hang him. They won't look any further.
Holmes, we have to help him.
And forget about the dinner. Wiggins, I'll take the case.
You're fantastic, Mr. Holmes. I'll be waiting for you at the crime scene. You'll be there, right? It's on Half Moon Street in Whitechapel.
Very well.
华生觉得不用再吃饭真的是很棒，赶快接下这个案子。哇，我们有致命的植物、银叉子、小刀、火车鸣笛，还有鱼叉。哇，我们就那个罗宾绅士骗子消失火车事件错了，其他都对了。 审问莱顿哦，先去现场看看吧。
Locked.
Locked。那我们是要去哪边？好黑！等等，我要调一下我的荧幕了，太黑了。
Please, gentlemen, leave the scene now. Oh, Mr. Holmes, is that you?
Yep.
Good evening, Constable...
Constable Marrow. I was here with Inspector Aberline during the Ripper case, Mr. Holmes, back in '88. But then this is nothing like that case. With this one, we've got the murderer, the weapon, and the statements, which speak for themselves.
Of course, Marrow. But you know that appearances can sometimes be deceiving.
目击者
You spoke of statements. You have witnesses?
Well, I was there, so I gave my own statement. And then there were two other witnesses who said they saw the killer Chapman. Mr. Turner, a gentleman who lives in that flat over there. And Polly Powell, a flower seller, who was over at the far side of the street.
受害者是
Who were the victims?
The two men here, both shot. The stabbed fellow was Brian Vacotti, a well-known ruffian. The other, Kenneth Butler, a jeweler by trade.
珠宝商人。证词
So, Constable Marrow, I should be delighted to hear your testimony.
I was standing at the north side of Half Moon Street. That was the side that you came from.
But you would have been unable to observe this part of the street, where we are standing now.
That is correct. But I saw the two victims slowly enter Half Moon Street, and then shortly after, the fireworks started. A few minutes after that, the fellow Chapman rushed towards me and ran into Half Moon Street.
Please continue.
I didn't pay attention, but suddenly I heard a woman's cries and police whistles on the other side of Half Moon Street. I rushed over there and I saw the two dead bodies on the ground. When I reached Whitechapel Street, I saw Leighton Chapman. He'd been caught by two police constables.
烟花
What were the fireworks in honor of, Constable?
Well, today's Queen Victoria's birthday, Mr. Holmes.
Yes, I appear to have lost track of the days. It
完蛋
is May now, of course.
枪声
Did you hear the shots?
I didn't hear any shots. The fireworks were all over the sky. They were so loud I couldn't hear anything else.
半月街的细节
Constable Marrow, what else caught your attention while you were running through Half Moon Street?
I saw nothing but rats, and I took the time to light every corner with my lamp.
特纳先生的窗户
Did you happen to look up at Mr. Turner's window when you were on Half Moon Street at that time?
Yes, I saw that the window was open, but no one was there. It was dark in the room.
灯是暗的
Constable, your statements have been of great value to me.
哎呦，头部中弹
The bullet struck his head. This man didn't stand a chance. A piece of wood that has stuck between the cobblestones. Let us take a closer look. This shard of wood is
还
quite
很
new.
新。左边口袋一只钥匙。
This is an ordinary key. I wonder what kind of door it opens.
So,
He tried to stop the bleeding with his hand. Death was not instant. The
伤口
bullet penetrated his stomach. A
子弹
dreadful
贯穿
wound.
腹部，纹
A
身
tattoo from Westgate Prison. Vercotti must have done some time there. Brian Vercotti suffered greatly.
相当痛苦。
What a terrible way to die.
杆子
A fairly long pole with a forked end. A fairly long pole with a forked
关
end.
注对象，铲子
I'll do anything to save my brother, Mr. Holmes.
Good evening, Mr. Turner.
I heard Constable Barrow reply to you as Mr. Holmes. Are you that detective gentleman? I've heard of you. And well, I know things about this evening.
Excellent. Might we hear your story?
让我来听听你的证词。先让我看一下你这个人。哎呦，勋章！克里米亚战争老兵，缺失的纽扣，贫穷的生活。需要帮助，贫弱的腿跛脚。我照手怎么会是脚？
Could you tell us everything that you may have seen or heard?
I was already in bed when the fireworks started. A few moments after, I clearly heard 2 gunshots from outside.
Please continue.
I quickly got up and I grabbed the lamp from my nightstand and I rushed towards the window. I looked down and I saw 2 bodies. And there was a man with a gun who was standing nearby.
Where exactly?
Well, near this body.
Did he notice you?
I don't think so. He rushed towards Whitechapel Street without looking around.
还有别人吗？
Mr. Turner, did you see anyone else in the street?
No, I saw no one but that man, the murderer, the fellow they caught.
两声清晰的枪声，
Were the 2 shots you heard consecutive?
Yes, there was a very short pause between them, and they sounded different somehow. It seemed to me that the second shot was louder than the first.
That is an interesting comment.
逃跑之后，
Mr. Turner, what were your actions after you stepped up to the window?
I was afraid that the man with a gun might return, so I stayed close to the window till I saw the policeman coming in the Half Moon from Whitechapel. Then I walked out to tell them everything I saw.
You have helped us a great deal, Mr. Turner.
觉得他有说谎哦，因为我们刚刚警察的证词好像不是这样哦。你就去看一下卖花的。
Mrs. Powell?
What do you want?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm assisting the police with their investigation of the crime that took place this evening.
Well, I've already gave my testimony, but very well.
你的证词。
Could you tell us everything that you may have seen or heard?
Yes. I was selling my flowers as usual, and then the fireworks began, in honour of Queen Victoria. I enjoyed those. But then, all of a sudden, a young lad ran out of Half Moon Street and stopped just by me. He had a gun in his hand. He was like a ghost, and all covered in blood. It was dark, but I could see him, because of the flashes from the fireworks.
And then?
I screamed as loud as I could. I knew that a policeman should be on duty in the vicinity. He had no time to escape. 2 constables got him. Then another constable came out from the very same street, and I heard him talking of a horrible murder.
枪声。
Mrs. Powell, did you hear the gunshots?
I'm not sure. You know, what with the fireworks?
其他人。
Did you see anyone else leaving Half Moon Street prior to or at the time of the crime?
No, sir, I did not. Even with all the fireworks, I was very attentive, as I'm always on the lookout for customers.
My thanks to you, Mrs. Powell.
那这些其他背景是拿来干嘛的？
Locked. Locked.
哦，这样就要出去了。应该只局限于那个位置而已吧？对啊，局限于在这条街。 好，相同的陈述，不同的枪响，漆黑的窗户。 冲突、矛盾的证词。对啊，我们警官说他从这边走过来的时候，看到的窗户是黑的，不同的证词。
It would be my pleasure to assist you with your investigation, Mr. Holmes.
证词
Mr.
的冲
Turner,
突。
you have stated that you remained close by your window after the crime. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, Mr. Holmes. I stayed at my window until the policeman arrived to examine the dead bodies.
That is very interesting, Mr. Turner. Constable Marrow stated that he did not see anyone at the window when he was running through Half Moon Street.
Well, I think Constable Marrow and me, we might have been distracted by the whistles and shouts coming from Whitechapel. We could have missed each other somehow. You understand what I mean? It was a bit of a stressful moment, to tell you the truth, sir.
Allow me to form my own theories, Mr. Turner. Would you mind showing me the view that you had from your window?
Not at all, Mr. Holmes. Please, follow me.
Mr. Turner appears to live very modestly.
Yeah.
This fire is dying out. It was last tended to over an hour ago.
Hmm? 焚烧的纸屑书页。
The papers are almost entirely burned. I am unable to see what's written here. These words are illegible. The papers were thrown into the fire just a short while ago. Mr. Turner was roused from his bed by the sound of gunshots. The books on this shelf are in a mess. It looks as though Mr. Turner was trying to find something in a hurry here a short while ago. A perfect match. So, Mr. Turner broke his stick when it became stuck between the cobblestones. He did not mention that he was so near to the victims.
这个特纳先生有鬼哦。
This kitchen knife is quite sharp. There are pieces of shredded paper scattered over the table. This kitchen knife was used to cut the paper.
切碎纸张。
So, that's the view Mr. Turner had when he opened the window. The dead body of Kenneth Butler. Brian Vercotti's contorted corpse. Mr. Turner had a perfect view of the crime scene. He saw the bodies clearly, and Leighton Chapman standing over them.
这样不太对。等一下，这样不太对。
It didn't happen
不
this
是
way.
这样。嗯。那这样呢？ Yeah.
So Mr. Turner used a book to hide an object that he found on Kenneth Butler's body. The question is, what did he find?
是什么东西呢？书，油腻的指印。
I can see prints from greasy fingers upon the cover of this book. Let us take a closer look. Well now, what a find! A precious jewel concealed inside a book. A bracelet with a unique ram's head
古代希腊珍
a
品。
distinctive feature of ancient Grecian artifacts, probably of the Hellenistic era.
哎呦，看来是为了财富哦。
Mr. Turner, how would it be possible for a man of advanced years, such as yourself, to rush from his bed to the window in a matter of seconds, as you have stated?
Well, I'm able to move very quickly, despite my age. And when the situation requires it, Mr. Holmes.
我要按跛脚，你怎么会自己往下？
I'm able to move very quickly, despite my age. And when the situation requires it, Mr. Holmes.
I highly doubt that, Mr. Turner. I observe that you suffer a severe limp due to your injured right leg.
自从膝盖
It would
中
have
了一
taken at
箭，
least 10 seconds for you to approach the window. That means you could have easily missed something or someone in Half Moon Street during that time.
You're right, Mr. Holmes. I could have missed something. But it did seem to me that everything happened so quickly. Oh, time can pull tricks on you.
全部的真相给我说出来。
And what of everything else that you told us? Mr. Turner, it is vital that we have your complete and true statement.
Mr. Holmes, I do assure you that the other things I said were most sincere.
手镯，
Mr. Turner, you were not sincere with me. Not then and not now.
But Mr. Holmes...
This, Mr. Turner, does not look like anything that a poor man might possess. It is worth more than the home that you live in.
I can explain.
No, merely correct me if I am wrong. You saw Leighton Chapman through the window, but you also noticed a glittering object on the ground, this precious jewel. You walked down and took the bracelet from the body of Kenneth Butler, and when you heard the whistles, you hurried away. That broke your walking stick. It caught fast between the cobbles. Constable Marrow was unable to see you in the window, as you were climbing up the stairs on your way back to your flat. Upon returning home, you hid the precious jewel inside a book.
Mr. Holmes, please don't send me to prison. I didn't do anything bad. I'm just a poor man. When I chanced upon the bracelet, I saw it as an opportunity to make a little money. I was desperate. I only took the bracelet, that's all, I swear.
You
嗯，
made
那
a
你在切
mistake
什
by
么？
lying to me. But you are not a criminal. I believe that. Although I must return this bracelet to its rightful owner.
调查手镯。可是他在切那个什么东西耶？ 还是觉得怪怪的。先回警局看一下吧，看一下他的证词。
Mr. Holmes, whatever brings you here so late at night?
I'm interested in the case of young Leighton Chapman. He was arrested earlier this evening and accused of a double murder.
I beg your pardon? That case is quite clear to the police. Or are there any new facts that we don't know about?
Who knows, Inspector?
Look, you are free to investigate, of course, Mr. Holmes. Chapman was arrested with a revolver in his possession, which you can find in the evidence room. The suspect himself is in custody.
Did you find anything else on his person?
A few personal belongings. Nothing particular, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, Lestrade.
真棒，随意看。把这里当自己家，我们探长人最好了。枪欸，怀表。
These cigarettes are filled with cheap tobacco. Nothing interesting. A cheap watch, bought with his own money, no doubt. So this is the gun that Leighton was holding when he was caught by the police. It is a Webley revolver, a reliable weapon.
弹夹调查。
It seems as though the shells were not removed from the cylinder.
两发急发哦。
2 out of the 6 shells have been fired. There were 2 shots.
两发。
Please escort this suspect for interrogation. Good evening, Mr. Chapman.
Who are you? I've got nothing to say. It's all a mistake.
Calm down, Leighton. I have come here to help you. To find out if you truly are innocent, as your younger brother Wiggins has told me.
My brother? You know him? Then that means you're...
Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, blimey. All right, Mr. Holmes. I'll tell you everything.
说吧。啊，先等一下，先看一下你，建立一下人物档案。但是你弟弟不认识你。生伤疤，偶尔打架，街上长大。最近被殴打，拒捕，暴躁。优质围巾，都市风潮，美差办公室职员。纹身。你的故事。
Good. Tell me your account of what happened.
I left my work, and I hurried up to see the fireworks in Whitechapel. I was late, so I decided to cut through Half Moon Street. I saw the first fireworks light up in the sky. I bumped into a constable on a corner before entering Half Moon. Then suddenly, what with all the firework flare, I saw 2 men. They were both lying flat in the middle of the street. I stopped where I was. I thought about turning back to the police, but as I was thinking of that, I saw a third person. He was leaning over the body that was furthest from me. The second I saw him, he raised his head, and he stared at me. In a flash, I saw his gun, but he made a dash for it instead, and he escaped through Whitechapel Street.
还有第3个人哦，回去找警察的时间。
So you might still have had time to return to the constable.
I panicked. I didn't know what to do. Anyway, I approached the bodies just to see if they were still alive. I saw that one had blood pumping out of his stomach. He was dying. It was horrible. The second one was already dead. He had a hole in his head. He was holding a gun in his hand, though. I took it, and then I followed the third man.
Interesting. Pray, continue.
I turned a corner, and I saw the man standing in the middle of the street. He seemed to be in some sort of panic. And then, Mr. Holmes, something strange happened. I told the police and they laughed at what I said, but I swear to you, my words are true. I started running towards him. But then I was blinded by a flash. It was so bright that I hardly saw anything for a good dozen seconds. But I kept running forward. As I arrived in Whitechapel, I heard a woman screaming. And then I was caught by the police. But there wasn't a trace of that man. Of course, then they found a gun and all that blood. I couldn't see the murderer escaping and all that mess. Perhaps I was still half-blinded at that moment.
A thrilling account, my young man.
第3者
Leighton, are you able to describe the person whom you saw standing in Half Moon Street?
Well, I wasn't able to see his face at all. It was too dark, and he was too far away. I could see his silhouette.
And what about that?
Nothing so special. He was wearing a jacket. He was quite average in size and his weight.
I see. Was there anything else that struck you at the time?
No. But perhaps it's strange, but I can't remember the sound of his footsteps as he was running away. Perhaps it was because of the fireworks or the surprise of me seeing him.
为什么要跟上去？
Leighton, I confess I am puzzled. Why should a young lad like you take a gun from the hands of a dead man and set off in pursuit of a probable killer?
I know. I keep wondering that, but at the time it was like a reflex. A criminal ought to be arrested, and he was armed.
You were willing to risk your life. That was a little foolish, unless you wanted revenge.
No, Mr. Holmes. I was just being brave and stupid.
I'm sure that you were, but I believe that you may have recognized one of the victims, Brian Vercotti. You knew that gentleman well, did you not?
However could you know that?
Tattoo.
You have a typical tattoo of the Westgate Brotherhood upon your hand. I observed exactly the same mark upon Mr.
原来是好
Vercotti.
基哦。
You came to know him from your sharing a past prison sentence. Am I correct, Mr. Chapman?
God. You're right, Mr. Holmes.
Would you tell me a little about Brian Vercotti?
We were convicted for a robbery.
抢劫。
Once in prison, both of us joined one of these fraternities. During that year, we tried to help each other out, you know?
You were quite young then, I believe.
Yes, Mr. Holmes, we were. We'd only stolen a pound of meat. After we were released and when I saw what my little brother had become, I decided to work towards living an honest life.
And Vercotti?
He had a hard time. His sister had died in a Whitechapel dispensary while he was in prison. He had no family anymore.
哦，妹妹。
He fell back into crime.
So you lost him?
Yes. And for around 2 years, I heard no news of him at all.
We shall see you soon, young man.
旧相识。虚构的第三者。 双重谋杀。还有一个人还没看到。重演事件，然后调查手镯。先调查手镯，再回去重演事件。
That is not the one I need.
希腊宝藏中的部分藏品，在纯金制的手镯、项链、戒指上分别印有5个羊头。1885年，与博物馆失窃。
Here it is. I need to continue my research in my archives.
Boss 吧，1885年。希腊宝藏于昨晚失窃，犯人利用离开大不列颠博物馆的马车，将宝藏运送至馆外。白教堂区的当铺老板肯尼斯·巴特勒当晚联系苏格兰警方，宣称有人试图向他出售宝藏的藏品。警方根据提供的外貌特征逮捕了嫌犯文森特·莱福，一名职业窃贼。被捕时，他正试图通过港口逃离伦敦，并且遭到了事发当时的马车车夫指认。文森特·莱福拒绝认罪，并且不愿告知宝藏的藏匿地点。警方认定，福莱不是莱福。警方认定福莱有罪，并且判其入狱。失踪的宝藏至今仍未找到。
Here it is. One of the victims, Kenneth Butler, was involved in the story of the stolen Hellenistic treasures. A visit to his pawn shop should tell me more.
Show me more. 巴特勒